This week on American Airgunner, we're at the round table where Tom shows us the insides of a spring-powered air rifle, and I'll share an optic tip, and it's time for another DIY project. All this and more coming up right now. Hey, welcome to this week's round table. Now this week I'm just joined by these two gentlemen. We have Rick Usler here, and of course, the Godfather, Tom Gaylord. Guys, how we doing?
Doing great.
What do you say today we take a look at the guts of a Springer, huh?
Let's do it.
Okay, so Tom, after you, sir. What are we looking at here?
First of all, I know you got to know what this is, right?
Oh, yeah, that's a wing dinghy.
Everybody knows.
A wing dinghy.
It's a mainspring compressor.
Okay.
It's not the mainspring compressor. You can make these at home if you want to.
And its main purpose?
To safely disassemble a spring gun.
Okay.
And I'll explain why as we go. Spring guns are dangerous if you don't know what you're doing.
Sure.
But we're not going to do that. As a matter of fact, I see some safety glasses. Why don't we all put them on since we're going to be playing with parts that fly? All righty, well, let's get started, shall we? This gun is full of molybdenum disulfide grease. And that's going to get everybody dirty, so let me be the one that handles the parts.
Right. So a lot different than taking apart a normal firearm.
Way different.
Well, one of the things too is that some of these guns, the springs aren't loose when you're not cocked. I mean, sometimes it's called preloaded, so the springs are partially compressed all the time.
Right.
When you cock the gun, they go really compressed.
Okay.
So it's under about 40 pounds of pressure right now. I'm going to take the barreled action out of the stock. That's our first step. Trigger guard comes out. Stock comes out, and Rick, I'll hand that to you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, this is our barreled action. And there's your mainspring right there. Can you see it?
I can.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to punch these two pins. You see those guys? I'm going to punch them out. This gun has been apart so many times, I just have to say the word and it starts coming apart.
Right.
And that gets us to the point where we can take the trigger out. And that's the first major part of disassembly.
Well, look at that.
Now that we've got the trigger and safety out, we're going to take the mainspring out of the gun.
Okay.
On this kind of gun, and this is where it gets different. On this kind of gun, you have an end cap. It's a very heavy piece of metal, about ½ pound. We're going to unscrew it. Other guns have pins that hold the spring in. Still other guns, they have a bolt that goes in the bottom. So I just want the viewers to know that not all guns come apart in exactly the same way. So I'm unscrewing the end cap, but I'm watching those threads.
Because that's under pressure, right?
It
Now, that
is.
cap is under pressure from the spring.
Now look what's happened. The end cap has come out so far, you can begin to see the end of the end cap.
Okay.
But it's still got threads in there.
Right.
We're still safe. I've got about 3 good threads that are still engaged. Now it's time to install this in the mainspring compressor. Now I engage the muzzle. Now I'm putting a little bit of pressure on that end cap. Now what I'm going to do is loosen this just a little and unscrew the end cap. The people who made this, they made this piece right here that the gun fits in, turn so that I can loosen this end cap and it won't get away from me.
Okay.
I just have to keep backing off on the screw.
Right.
Okay, I don't know if you heard that or not. That was a little click.
Yeah.
The end cap is free.
Okay.
If I back off now, you see what's happening?
Oh, sure, the spring is okay, the spring's pushing it out.
Yep. Okay, now this is the preload that Rick was talking about, and now look, the end cap got loose. See?
Right, because the
no more
spring's
tension.
loose.
The spring is done. There's the end cap. There's you can touch that safely. That's your mainspring. This is what you don't want to touch. This thing is loaded with moly. All right, we're going to take her out of the mainspring compressor and we're ready to continue with the disassembly.
Look at that.
To go any further, I have to take the barrel off of the spring tube. There's a nut on that side, and on this side, you've got what we call the pivot bolt. This is, when you cock the gun, this is the axle that you're cocking on. And now, the barrel comes out. There is your piston seal. That's what seals the air in front of the piston when it goes forward.
And this is what you're talking about when it comes back
and
pulls in to this guy.
Yep.
What was
that's
this called?
Spring guide.
See that little hole right there?
Yeah.
That's called the air transfer port. That's the front of the compression chamber, and this piston seal is the back of the compression chamber.
Right.
So when it goes forward, it shoves air out the air transfer port, where it goes immediately into the barrel, but it can't go anywhere because there's a pellet sitting in the way.
Right.
And so the pellet,
which is stuck in here into the barrel.
Stuck in there. That's a barrel or a breech seal. That thing inflates so the air can't go out sideways, so it can only go in one place, and that's behind the piston.
There you go.
That's how a spring
fires
gun
your bullet.
works. Now, the unfortunate thing is we have to put all this together, and I don't, for the life of me, remember how it goes.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you go. There's the guts of the inside of a Springer. Tom, thank you so much. Before we put this thing back together, guys, that's all the time we got for this round table. We got a lot more American Airgunner coming up. And remember, don't do this at home. If you have a problem with your gun, send it back to the manufacturer. Let them do it because, like you said, there's a lot of ways to get injured here. Tom, I think I know how to put this thing back together. Guys, we got more American Airgunner coming right now. All right, guys, when we return, it's time for another DIY project. This week, we're making DIY versions of shoot and see targets. American Airgunner is sponsored by Umarex, Zeroed In, by Pyramid Air, the world's largest retailer of air guns, and by Hot Sign, serious, solid impact.
The pistols you've watched in action for generations and the ones you've always wanted to own are now within your reach. Introducing Umarex Action Pistols. These high-quality replica pistols, powered by CO2, look, shoot, and feel just like a powder burner. Plus, ammo is economical and always available. Umarex Action Pistols. From the past, present, and shooting into the future.
The Umarex Octane features tremendous velocity with a quiet downrange noise thanks to the integrated silence air noise dampening system. Powered by the Reaxis gas piston that provides more punch, more power, and more speed. These two technologies combined deliver a smooth, accurate shot with maximum power. The Umarex Octane.
PyramidAir.com. Let's see.
That was fast.
Bingo.
Honey, did you do those chores yet?
Chores.
Roger, put that drink down. We gotta mow. Chop, chop.
Oh yeah, he's out there showing the Grassies, boss.
Pyramid Air. Big selection, fast shipping, the airgun experts.
All right, guys, it's time for American Airgunner's DIY, and today we're making shoot and see targets. Now, if you're not familiar with these, typically with a regular target, it looks something like this. When you start to shoot on it, you know, it's hard to tell from 50, 60 yards away where you've actually hit. Well, with the Birchwood Casey shoot and sees, now these are great, but if you're like me and you're, well, cheap and or like to do do-it-yourself projects, here's a great way to make it yourself. You're going to start off with I like to use this kind of neon colored construction paper. You can get it in a poster board. Just make sure it's a good cardstock and you can cut it to size. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take some good old-fashioned clear packing tape and you're just going to start taping it. Now, the one thing you want to do is make sure you overlap your tape, smooth out all the bubbles, because the point of this is you don't want it later when you spray paint it for the spray paint to merge into the colored paper. So you cover it with the tape. Pull it off here. Now, see? Nice and easy, got some overlaps. This is gonna be good. Now it's time to spray paint. Now, all you need is some good matte, flat black paint. You can probably get it pretty much anywhere, just in a spray can. Now for me, you know, safety first right here. There are some toxins in there. Just start painting. All right, so once you're done spray painting, just make sure you've got everything coated. You can't see any pink, it's just all flat black. It should be quick drying. You can maybe do another coat just to make sure. All right, so after you let it dry, just cut off the excess tape and you are good to go. You've got your very own shoot and see target. All right, now there's another way to do it too. You can go with a white paper of the same cardstock, the same thickness, and colored duct tape. Maybe if you want to use multiple colors, do some sort of arrangement, or you can get creative with this. Same thing. Run the duct tape down, smooth out your edges, make sure there's no air bubbles. All right, so maybe you want to get creative at this point. You've done half of it orange. Maybe you want to just mix it up, throw some neon green in there. You just want to make sure that no paint can get through to the paper. All right, there we go. One last thing I like to do is take a stencil like so with a little hole in the middle so I can make a target on there. I'm gonna go with a contrasting color using this neon yellow here, and then just set it down and And there you go. I was never great at arts and crafts, but that right there is a do-it-yourself shoot and see target. Now, another real quick way to make a small shoot and see target is go out and get your Post-its. We've all seen them and never know what to do with them. So now you take off a Post-it, you put the clear tape on, spray paint it black like this, and if you do it with another one stuck to the back of it, peel it off, go get some cardstock, and voila, a really small shoot and see target for on the go. All right, so here we go. We got both of our shoot and see targets, actually all three of them up here. Here's the one with the pink background and the clear tape. This is the one with the colored duct tape, and obviously here is our little Post-it note. So let's shoot them, see which one we like the best and which one works. All right, let's see what we got here. All right, we got the Walther PPQ pellet gun, so this would be good to see. And then one of my new favorite little BB guns. This is the Beretta M84 drop-free 16-round mag. This is gonna be fun. So let's start with the Walther PPQ. Now, I want to shoot all around this thing, so I want to see if they truly, truly work. There we go. All right, there's 8 shots there. Pretty cool. You can see the duct tape popping out. I love it. I'm going to try here the target on the left. Oh, yeah. All right, now look at this. This is great. So you can see right here, all the green tape on the duct tape just popped out. You can see everything, which is great. The one thing I did wrong was I sprayed a yellow paint on a green background, so you can't see that one as good, but want to make sure those are contrasting. As far as the little Post-it, look at that. I mean, you can see those from forever away. And then here you go. This is the pink paper with the clear tape. Worked like a charm. So there you go. That is how you DIY your own shoot and see targets. You can shoot these things for days and probably see them from 100 yards away. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, I'll be demonstrating how to mount a scope to your air rifle. We'll be right back. All right, it's time for our American Airgunner Trivia, brought to you this year by our friends at Blue Book Publications.
Life can be loud, but sometimes silence is golden. Introducing the Umarex Fusion Air Rifle with a combination of CO2 power, the Silence Air 5 chamber noise dampener, and a precision rifled barrel. The Fusion is a bona fide tack driver that's the quietest air rifle you'll ever own. Experience silence with the Umarex Fusion at umarexusa.com/Fusion TV.
All right, guys, time to talk optics, and today we're talking about mounting scopes. Now, in this scenario, we are using the RWS Diana Model 34, which comes here with the 11mm rail, also known as the 11mm dovetail. You need to make sure you have your gun level and locked into place so it doesn't move. And what I'm going to use is what we call these Weaver modular level system. And this is great. It's these 2 little levels that are ready for your gun. Now, in this case, this one has magnets. It also moves like this, so you can actually put this on your rail, lock it into place, and then as you're tightening up your gun, you can look and make sure it's level in this direction, which I think would be probably horizontal, and then this vertical you can just set right there on top and make sure that you're all nice and level. So we're going to start with the mount with the recoil pin in the back. You have our recoil hole right here on top, and we're going to just slide it in there, make sure that the recoil pin locks in, make sure it's loose here. And then we just want to tighten that. I'm just going to tighten this back screw, make sure it's locked in there. It is. So tighten that back, tighten that down, and just get this this back mount nice and firm. Make sure it's on that rail. Right now we can just use our hands. Later we'll come back and make sure we tighten all the screws. In our scope, we're using a 44mm bell, so I know that this works for our scope and our gun. If for some reason you maybe had a bigger scope and you need to get it higher, you could always use this UTG scope elevation base, and this just slides on here, and this way if you have a bigger scope or you wanted to use the Picatinny rail, you can, but in our case we don't need it. Just want to let you know what your options are. Now we want to move to the front mount. Now, so I'm going to put this front mount on, and I'm just going to tighten this back screw right here because I need to make sure I know where it fits for the scope. So see, in that case, I've got it too far back because there's no room really for the scope to move. So I want to move this up a little bit, put it like right in the middle, because basically when we finally get it set, we make our last adjustments, we want to make sure we have enough eye relief depending on what kind of scope. Typically it's 2 to 3 inches, but the owner's manual with the scope you bought will tell you. So I just want to make sure I have enough room on my mounts to move it. That seems like it's going to be enough for me. I'll go ahead and tighten this back screw down, tighten the other one down to make sure now we've got it in place so that it doesn't move. All right, so I've got my mounts on, they're nice and tight. It's time to put the scope on. We want to make sure that we have it the right angle. So you want to make sure the elevation is on top and the adjustment for right and left is on the side. This is also a time to take a look at the scope and make sure you have enough room between the receiver of the gun and the bell of the scope and enough room to move your adjustable objective. In this case, I do. If you didn't, you probably want to get a higher mount or maybe use one of these elevation bases. But in this case, we're good to go. Time to tighten down the scope. Throw our top brackets on. Okay, now when we first put our top brackets on and we get them, we want to take our Allen wrench, and I'm just going to tighten the back right screw just a little bit so that it holds the scope in place, because I still want to make sure I can move the scope to get it where it needs to be before I tighten all these screws. Okay, so I've got them tight. It's not moving, but I can still adjust it if I need to. So at this point, I'm going to go like if I was shooting. Check my eye relief. Again, 2 to 3 inches. For me, it feels like it's back a little bit. I'm just going to slide it forward just a tad. There you go. That's good for me. So now we're ready to tighten. Now I have an interesting way of tightening. I like to go diagonal from back mount to front mount and then do the opposite diagonals, just to make sure that I'm not squeezing one direction too much and too much on the right, too much on the left, or too much in the front or the rear. So I'm going to start with my back left, because I've already kind of tightened these two and these two. Move to the front. Now you'll notice I'm using the top of the Allen wrench because I don't want too much torque. I just want to get them nice and snug as I'm moving through. And then I'm going to go back through in the same pattern, the diagonal pattern, squeezing down a little bit more. Now after I've gone through my pattern and I've gone through all 8 screws, I'm going to go through one more time, and I'm probably going to actually turn it this way so I can get a little bit more torque. There's no need to like step on it or yank on it or get a crowbar out. You want to be tight. You don't want to be tight enough where you feel like you may be breaking something or squeezing the tube too much, but make sure you get them nice and tight as you can with your hand in this Allen wrench. Now let's just take a look. Okay, so there you go. I've got good eye relief, my reticle's aligned, and everything on my scope looks good. Most importantly, I'm looking through the right end. Now I just got to get it sighted and I'm good to go. Next week on American Airgunner. It's the season finale and you don't want to miss it. We're at the round table talking about competition shooting, and Tom has another surprise up his sleeve. We'll share some bloopers and outtakes from the season and much more. We'll see you next week.